Hi, Greg Parsley, Superintendent for the Vincennes Community School Corporation. One of the things that I certainly desire to do is communicate, and we'll communicate weekly with our folks. That includes our parents, students, and stakeholders. Today's video, and I will communicate towards the first part of each week as we go through this pandemic. But today's message may be a little longer than certainly those messages that will follow. I want to talk about the past, the present, and the future, and where we have been. Quickly, the past, as you are well aware, and I will apologize, as I know some folks have tried to call schools last week and offices were closed. We were on spring break last week, and we needed to play a little catch up, and I think all of our buildings have been able to catch messages up over the course of the weekend. We've also implemented a change with our phone system, as we have repeatedly been saying to folks that if you have an emergency or you need to get to someone now, we want you to use that VCSC helpline. You can also use the email. We do have folks that are checking that all the time, and we'll get a response back to you as quickly as they can. But we've changed our phone system. If you call any one of our buildings, including the admin building or our school buildings, one will get you directly to that VCSC helpline. If you do not have an emergency and simply need to leave a message with the building principal or need to get something to my attention, you can press 2 and we will get that. Understand as well that because of COVID-19, very few of our people are actually working, and we are just simply at essential employees, and most folks are working remotely. Also, as a part of the past, you're aware that the governor did mandate to us last week that schools are closed up until May 1st. I know as I've been out and about, people have asked me, do I think that's going to be extended at this time? I do not know. I would expect some type of guidance to come probably during the middle of April, and then we will reassess and reevaluate where we are at that time. Certainly by doing these weekly messages, that if there are those types of things that we can communicate, we certainly will as it pertains to future closures, but we'll also get that word out as soon as possible. The present, we've had a very good day in the Vincennes Community School Corporation. As we began food service this morning, I certainly thank our Sodexo team for getting things taken care of behind the scenes, but then the many volunteers that have also shown up. It's been, as I was able to get to every site to see so many of our staff members, and I know they miss seeing their kids and their families and wanted to certainly have some interaction, albeit social distancing and keeping the parameters there. Just a reminder, when it does come to food service, we'll continue to operate that each and every Monday during the hours of 9 to 11. It's a curbside grab and go. When folks come, they're getting enough meals for breakfast and lunch, but for the entire week. We're also in the process of being able to do delivery where hardship cases could be defined as not having any transportation, or where parents are having to work and unavailable to come out during that 9 to 11 time frame. Also, in terms of the present is e-learning. This week is a optional e-learning. We certainly have some bugs to work out, and just to be very honest, when it comes to e-learning, e-learning is new to the Vincennes Community School Corporation. Our board approved it back in December, but we've been late to come to that. In large part, I think there's been hesitancy because we certainly desire to have the students in the classroom and the teacher and the instructional assistants to be there with those students. But we wanted to get e-learning in should we ever have that type of situation where we needed to extend the school year. We certainly didn't think of it being needed in a catastrophic situation, which obviously a pandemic would be defined there. But when it comes to e-learning, and it is optional this week, we would just ask for your patience. We've tried to put out as much information, and we will continue to put out information how that will work this week. Our hope is that we'll do some trials, whereas last week we were on spring break. We had the entire week to get our food service program up and running, and to be ready for this morning. The goal with e-learning this week and with the optional is just to be sure that we are in good shape come next week when it becomes mandatory. But I certainly want to thank an awful lot of folks when it comes to e-learning. Dustin Jones and his team, Tim Salters, our curriculum directors, our I-coaches, E-coaches, and the teachers who are going to be carrying it out. I know one of the questions, certainly, that if you do not have access to technology, we are making packets available and more information will come out as it pertains to that. But we would just ask for cooperation and patience, and we will get there, and I think you will find that we'll be able to roll out a strong e-learning program. Next week, or beginning Monday, March 30th, will be required e-learning. Required e-learning means we need all of our students to be engaged in the process. And it's a difficult situation right now. We recognize and realize that. We would prefer to have the students with us, but we will get through e-learning, and whether it is through technology or providing packets, but students need to stay engaged in the learning process. Because next week is required, we will submit those days to the state, and it will actually count as a day in attendance. As it pertains to the subsequent or those days that will follow, we'll get the information out. In fact, probably in next week's video message, I'll have guidance what e-learning will look like as we move forward. But again, this week being optional, I hope as many students, I would quite frankly like to see all of our students, because it gives us a trial run so that we can be ready to go for required e-learning next week. As you do get into the e-learning, and if you have problems, again, I cannot emphasize enough the VCSC helpline, in addition to the email VCSC helpline that we're keeping there as well. You've got the option of calling or certainly sending an email. As we certainly go into an unprecedented time and something that we have certainly never been prepared for or witnessed, I can't thank our folks enough. I mean, they've gone above and beyond. I appreciate, as I've said, the many volunteers that have shown up. I've said this repeatedly, Vincent's Community School Corporation and the people that make up the corporation are phenomenal people, but we also certainly believe the same to be said of our parents and our students. And thank you in terms of that patience and cooperation. If I had a request or a plea to folks, it could be real easy at this time to view this as an extended vacation or an extended spring break, and it's nothing of that sense. It's not an opportunity for students to go out and play with others or to go into other students' homes. You don't know what those situations may be. I mean, there's a reason why we've almost completely shut society down as we know it because of social distancing, and I cannot encourage that enough. As I said earlier in this message, there's a reason why we do not have folks coming into our buildings. Many of them are working remotely. We need folks to keep their distance, and it's, again, not that opportunity. Keep your kids at home. They're not running around and those types of things. I mean, certainly today appears to be a great day. They could certainly get outside, maybe get some physical activity, but again, keeping that distance. And then the other plea and employ certainly is just, it's practicing good hygiene. And I know we've heard it time and time again, but it's the reality. And I think if we keep the social distancing, we take care of the personal hygiene, that we'll get through this, and hopefully sooner rather than later. My last thank you to all of our healthcare people that are out there and working and going the extra mile right now and putting in and laboring in the long hours. We certainly thank you in the Vincent's Community School Corporation. I know that's many of our parents as well. And I know, certainly my faith tells me that we will get through this. We may even learn some things from this pandemic that will allow us to actually get better with delivering the services, and certainly from the Vincent's Community School Corporation that we provide. Till my next message, be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.